think that we have an opportunity now to get a voice in this, and it can pass right by, because it'll be there 20 years out in the bay.
As someone who has had a salmon bin put in front of their property, as other of my friends have, we received an informational packet from the applicant.
If you're within 1,000 feet of it, yes,
Right.
and they have done that.
And those types of things need to be specifically given to the neighbors that are right there.
So DMR requires that they do that.
Right, just so that happens, so that way they can't say they weren't invited to the meeting.
So all the ordinance would do is just have the planning board, harbor master, and CEO kind of involved in the process, and we would be able to say, hey, we have a more preferable site location, and that's what it's all about.
Thanks for doing all that.
Yeah, we're not gonna come back up to do another speech later on,
Right in now.
that's the end of it.
Thank
Thanks so
you
much.
very
You're
much.
welcome, guys.
Mike, you're on.
Rogers Island, town of Lubec, Rogers Island, our island. In your package, you'll find questions regarding the future of the site from one of our committee members, Robin. They're very good questions. I could not change them in any way, make them any better, so I've given them to you for your perusal, and looking for you to give guidance to myself and the town administrator as to how we present these to the public. And my suggestion is, since this is a closed circuit thing, it's a town property, we have a town website, maybe we should just have a small survey on the town website and have a cutoff date as to a certain point when people can chime in and share their input. So, of course, for this portion of it, I don't need an answer as a result of this, but I would like you all to be aware of the questions going forward. Other than that, the island's still there. We'd like the salmon pen to move when that comes up, so. Now, if you are interested in one of the aspects of the ownership of the island, the committee agreement and the conservation agreement guide us to doing something there as an improvement. So that's why, if you remember, at the last meeting I requested the ramp. And in the meantime, at a harbor board meeting, I was informed that the town actually owns 2 ramps. One of them is at Victor's, and he hasn't used it in 2 years. And I don't know if we can get it back, but my point is, for the town project going forward, Rogers Island Committee would like the shorter of the 2 ramps, because the longer ramp will work better somewhere if it's going to be used as the access to the floating dock that was at the commercial pier for the time of the build-out of Safe Harbor, because we've got a fishing community that still needs to use the commercial pier.
Hasn't been, there's no floating dock. Anyway, it's 50
Well, we
feet
still have
long.
the floating dock along with the
It's 50 feet
ramp.
long, and if you do move it, then it can never be put back, so you might want to,
All right, so we can talk.
that's grandfathered in.
Right, so
where it
we
is.
can talk about that. And the other thing is, because of the geography of the access site, it's difficult. And I look at it from a harvester's point of view. A tourist may just go down the bank. They're not gonna carry back 50 pounds of clams. How are you gonna get up out of that spot? It's a difficult spot. I've walked down there numerous times. I went down at high tide to see just how far it comes up. The good news is, it's all ledge. It doesn't erode, but it doesn't get any better.
That's a great idea, Mike.
So, okay, so that's all I had to say about that. If it's necessary, when we do decide on the ramp to be used as a bridge, I
I'll
will
ask
need.
Richard, what he's planning on that.
Thank you.
What?
I talked to him.
Oh, yeah, why don't you ask, well, I don't know. You go ahead and try first. Let me know how you do.
Tag team.
We'll tag team.
He's gonna
Okay.
send it in there.
What do you want to do with the access for the next,
You table it.
you want to table it for next time? Okay. So that's just, how we're progressing with whether or not we're gonna let our ATVs on town roads, how many people, are you doing, kind of, you started a sort of a survey on social media?
It was more just to see what the pulse is, you know, and you look at other municipalities, not only the financial, but also the recreational impact. It's quite important. We have an aging population, and it's a blue collar community, and a lot of them, that includes off-road vehicles. So, and where we have been unsuccessful in getting trails through these various pieces of private ground, the next alternative is road access, which creates some other issues.
Well,
which
you
are
can't
not
do,
new.
you can't do 189, but,
Well, we could, if we petition the state with a letter from the select board.
oh, okay,
Yeah,
I
but
know
I'll-
that.
I also
Russell, do
think
you wanna
you
speak
can-
to that? You
Yeah,
probably know
see,
more
that's
about that
good.
too, don't you? Off-road vehicle use, ATVs? You've run into that too, haven't you?
What are you trying to run on?
Well,
I mean, private property, you have to have private.
well, that would be through the ATV club,
Right.
you know,
You have to have a club,
and we kept running into a couple individuals that are like, nope, don't want it, you know, so then the alternative is, okay, let's open up the road. I mean, there's a strong contingent of year-round residents that live here that do have off-road vehicles. And they're trailering them out of
Why
town
did you
to
come
use
on
them.
and have enough stuff?
And I'm not looking at it purely monetarily, but there is an outlet that people deserve to have, to the outdoors, and part of that is provided via an off-road vehicle. Other towns have been able to figure it out. My concern is we don't really have enforcement. So like, and that's gonna be the big pushback.
Back a number of years ago, I put it to the town, the select board, a number of years ago, and the town voted it now. There's quite a lot of stipulations. They gotta be insured, you gotta be registered, you gotta abide by all traffic laws.
Yeah.
So,
I just look at the
Which
money,
is-
I look at the money that some of these people are spending on these toys. They're $30,000-$40,000 side-by-sides, they're insured, they're registered.
There is good at some cars.
Yeah, and they're acquired.
Right.
So I'm kinda like, okay, well, why are we hamstringing those folks that wanna invest in your town, spend time in your town, enjoy the scenery?
But isn't there also, I looked into the golf cart, as an example, I don't think it has any restrictions.
Especially if
in
it's
the state
electric.
of Maine.
If it's electric, it doesn't.
Yeah, so,
I can take an electric mountain bike and ride it anywhere I want. It's the same
you
thing.
can take, and
So
a
we're
golf,
gonna
and a
table
golf
this?
cart from.
We were.
in the
Yeah,
state of
that's
Maine,
an idea.
so.
We have executive session,
Yeah.
we have. all
Well,
this
let's talk
stuff.
about it
Which is-
more
which
next
is-
time.
You could get that through pretty easily.
I think so.
Oh,
It's,
yeah.
it's just,
If they're already registered as a vehicle insured, then as long as they're good drivers, they should be able to use 189 tickets.
this, well, and sadly, there are some people that can't afford a vehicle. That's their only mode of
That's,
transportation.
yeah, and that's another reality.
The only fault with that, and they're having trouble with it, is when they go to register, they don't have to have proof of insurance like they do in automobiles.
But we might, if we do a townwide permit, you have to provide the
Requires
front
that.
desk with some insurance.
Right, and that's what Grand Lake Streaming has done. They require an insurance policy with you to register that,
Yeah,
because it's a liability.
yeah. Okay, tabled?
Yeah, we're tabling it. It was
I would
supposed to be
also
tabled.
suggest that the idea of using 189, you take a look at how the road is used now.
Yeah.
There are people that literally drive 80 miles an hour,
Mm,
and some of them have a plow on the front and a skip on the back.
Yeah.
And,
Could be problems, yeah.
yeah, but the,
Well, it's
Some more due
Maybe we
diligence.
should
And
put
there's
a
blind
lawn
bills.
mowers
food for
around.
thought.
That's
So,
what's been talking.
we're gonna go to the next article. John, you,
My
had a
quickies?
meeting? Yeah, you had a meeting and you wanna create a Lubec land use ordinance subcommittee to the planning board, is that
Right.
what I gathered?
Yes,
So,
and
the
I have,
only people that create a committee is the select board, and I suggest we create a Lubec land use ordinance ad hoc committee because it has an ending to it.
Mhm.
And I have no problem with that, I'll make that motion if I can get a second, all in favor? Now that we've created that,
thank you, thank
we
you, thank you.
have,
Do we have to put people in?
we have some people to appoint.
You wanna read them
Well,
all?
actually, Anna Carter is actually going to be, planning board secretary. And then these are the people for the newly created Lubec
hoc.
land use
Ad hoc.
ordinance ad hoc thing. Peter Howell, Sharon Graves, William Henry, Alex Henry,
William,
Peter Coleman, and John Nielsen.
Motion to accept all the nominees?
Second, all in favor? There you have it.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Do you need to sign that?
Yes, but is it these the right ones? Oh,
You know,
And do you have to vote on Anna too?
We put her on for that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sean.
Yes,
bet.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
We have a crazy committee lately.
And there's no
Remember we
way-
did the garage one?
And there's not a way to.
That was the best,
Well,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
25.
So I've got a,
Can't believe all that time, that's gone, that's not the book.
I got a question about that. There's not a way, as it's the same document for the same committee, that we can't put all 4, 5, 18 names on one form
They
and
can
sign
drop
one
off
form.
though, too.
Yeah, and then you gotta have every one of the people sign it.
Okay, that concludes everything but public comment.
Well, we just want
Committee
out
Committee
everybody's
updates.
name.
Committee updates.
Shellfish, I'll go first. Shellfish, next Shellfish committee meeting is February 3rd.
Monday at 6 o'clock.
Monday, 6 o'clock, right here in this room, and we will be joined by Kyle Winslow from Maine Coast Heritage Trust for an update on the Federal Harbor project, and maybe a DMR person.
Okay.
And every one of you is welcome
Always invited.
to attend.
Yes,
And Harbor Board, we didn't have four.
right.
No, but I understand we now have enough people sworn in to be legal committee.
Yes, 5.
Yes.
Perfect.
The
And
Bay of Fundy.
We'll have to put lean on
Hey,
somebody.
funding, good, go ahead.
The Bay of Fundy is going live February 1st, as far as advertising. I think 300 positions with another 50 that's for specialized, whether you're disabled or in some fashion.
so it's actually you're actually reporting on the Economic Development Committee because we do not, and we haven't created a Bay of Fundy marathon.
I just happened to be there, thought I'd tell you about it.
When you originally, we actually appointed you Economic Development Committee, and you were thinking about getting,
Would you like to hear about that or not? No?
well, it was a committee
Okay.
updates.
I have no committee update, but I did want to throw in a quick public. In case it doesn't get mentioned, I'd like to thank you
What is it?
for everything that you do. You're a value to the town, and I just
Thank
want to
you.
thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
All of these guys. Yeah, I mean, it's
So
just,
public
Yeah,
comment,
we've got,
well, he's got to pass all this stuff before he gets any accolades.
because we're headed to committee, we're headed to executive session. Any more public comment?
Can you give us an update on the Safe Harbor project?
I cannot, you have to call the White House for that.
pretty simple.
You can quote me on that.
What a quote.
He's making the decisions right now, and we're not sure.